suspension of the Vice Chancellor at Fort Hare is the latest headline to hit the beleaguered university. With me is Grant Abbott of the National Tertiary Education Union. Welcome, Grant.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me again.
Well, you have been calling for his removal. What was your first reaction when you heard of the council's decision?
Firstly, we were ecstatic. It is certainly something that must be welcomed, and indeed, just to say to the council that they are doing their fiduciary duty well. There's been irregularities found that he is involved in, and other senior members of executive management. And council is acting as a governance body it's supposed to. So we were indeed welcoming of that decision.
What led to the council's decision ultimately?
So right now on paper, as their statement that they released yesterday, is that they said that they had commissioned a forensics investigation report that found that there were serious irregularities related to the appointment of executive directors, senior executive members, that he and four other members of management committee were aware of, that they did not comply with the statutes of the institution to inform council and to seek council's approval of these appointments, when they ought to have certainly reasonably known about it. So that is on paper the immediate reason for the suspension as it is now.
What are the terms of his precautionary suspension?
It's a precautionary suspension pending the outcome of what they say disciplinary processes. I've obviously not seen the suspension letter, so the full terms we wouldn't be aware of, but if consistency is anything to go by, then it should be that he's not able to speak to staff and students. He can't enter campus without permission, and he probably can't speak to the media. I'm not sure, but we've been through this so often where he has during his 8-9 years that he's been there, just randomly suspended people that get in his way. And so we know the template that is used to suspend people in that regard. So I would hope that the consistency applies.
Do you know whether he has reacted?
I've not seen anything. I would imagine he would have a reaction. I am told, although it's not verified because I didn't see it myself, that he was walking out of his office yesterday with boxes and bags of stuff, and saying that he's going to go work from home. The news hadn't officially broken yet, but he had obviously been informed. So no, I'm not sure of his immediate reaction.
Somebody sent me a photo of what looked like him with 3 boxes and a pot plant. I think memes were doing the rounds.
Yeah, I think someone's got very creative with AI. I saw that same picture was sent to me, but yeah, it's probably captures that moment quite well.
You've always said that what has emerged is the tip of an iceberg. Encapsulate for us all the drama under his tenure.
Yeah, I think we need to understand this in the very serious light that it is. It can be seen that council is just taking action on one incident that happened now, where there's an irregular appointment that took place. The procedures were not followed. But let's be mindful of the fact that, and I think I've said it on your show as well, is that as early as 2018, we pointed out to him as a trade union that that he had made an appointment irregularly against the recruitment and selection processes as they should be followed, and that person turned out to be Isaac Plaatjes, the so-called kingpin of everything that's happened at Fort Hare. Now, when that came up at one of the portfolio committee meetings, and he has also said this in public, both there and otherwise, is that um, he admits that was a slight error in judgment, um, or something to that effect. That he said, look, we would do better in that. Um, Subsequently, in the same subsequent years, where other appointments were irregular and not proper, he said he was being his excuse later was that he was being poorly advised. Now, let me say this is that the reason why these processes are put in place and why they have to be followed is so that you don't end up with more Isaac Plaikes, so that you don't end up with Paul Clades and all the other 20 odd people that are under arrest currently in the Fort Hare saga. Is bear in mind, all of those individuals were appointed as employees or service providers during this Vice Chancellor's tenure. So while this suspension right now might look like it's an isolated incident, it is not. It is what I would describe as the last straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. You can only push the law with impunity for so long before something's got to give. And this time, council thankfully has said, that's it. We're not going to cover for you anymore, in a sense. You need to answer for what is going on. So it's been a perpetual thing during his tenure of simply doing essentially what he likes, believing that Fort Hare is his own institution, that he can do what he wants. And that's simply not the case. It's a public institution. It is there to serve students. It is there to serve the community. It is there to make the area and South Africa a better place. And that's unfortunately not been what Fort Hare has been under this Vice Chancellor's tenure.
And in addition to all that, the victimization of union members.
Multiple. We are still sitting with a disciplinary case of our president, now the fourth one, the fourth attempt that they are making to try and dismiss him. All previous attempts have failed. One where they dismissed him, and in that disciplinary, the chairperson of that is now someone else who's been arrested in the Fort Hare saga. And in that one, the CCMA completely overturned it and ordered reinstatement. Um, that continues. We have other members who have left the institution during this vice chancellor's tenure, just out of pure victimization. The members that we have, everyone who speaks up against him is simply sidelines. Um, even the SRC. If you remember one of our past episodes, we had the suspended SRC president at the time there with me on the show. Um, they Because the SRC was speaking up, they sidelined the SRC. Victimization and intimidation has become the just the name of the game under this vice chancellor's tenure at Fort Hare. Um, and so, why this is so important is that it removes him from the process right now. And he must face the music. It's not like when he finally goes on retirement at the end of the year, whatever the case may be, that's it, he can go off into the sunset. No, we act as a union will in fact still pursue and make sure that he gives account for everything that's happened, including, by the way, the 172 million rand that can't be accounted for, that happened under his tenure, and what this whole corruption thing is about. He's come in as a corruption buster, saying he's going to um, renew the institution and root out corruption. If anything, he's allowed the corruption to continue. He's allowed it to be further entrenched. He's not rooted out anything, and that is incredibly important to keep in mind throughout this process. So yeah, Chris, you're right. The victimization continues, um, and hopefully now there will be some sense of renewal. I want to say this to close off this point. When he came there, they coined this phrase. You know how the PR people are very good at making these phrases. The decade of renewal. The decade of renewal was allegedly this time now under Buhlungu's term, where he would now be renewing the institution and rooting out corruption. Well, he's not done that. He's made it worse. And so we have been saying, actually, it's been the 10 wasted years. That phrase was used sadly about Jacob Zuma's presidency. It's the same scenario, yeah, unfortunately. It's been largely the 10 wasted years. But at least now there is hope, and the decade of renewal can start from now onwards. Now that is out the way, let's focus on renewing that institution. Let's focus on that.
Grant, what needs to be done to save this historic university from the corruption and the capture?
Firstly, proper leadership must be put in place. The Vice Chancellor's past the retirement age. He should have already left last year. And I'm sure he might be sitting at home now thinking, I wish I had left last year. But we want to urge council, while they have put in a acting Vice Chancellor, we believe that the process to start the recruitment of a new Vice Chancellor must start now. Whatever happens as a result of this DC, this disciplinary process, Buhlungu cannot continue there. So we need to look for, and the criteria for that really needs to be someone of good integrity and character. We said this in our presentation to the portfolio committee, that we should even do a lifestyle audit on people who want to apply to be vice chancellors beforehand, and vet them in terms of just what is their background in terms of their ethical status, where they stand on matters of morality and ethics. That's vitally important above all. The saying, the fish rots from the head down. I saw somewhere that's not entirely always true, but the thing is that the statement rings true. Is that if the head of the institution is corrupt, that whole thing is going to be rotten. So that must be number one. Number two is that stakeholder engagement must start immediately. The Vice Chancellor held stakeholders at arm's length all the time. He listened to no one, and anyone who spoke up against him, he would silence them. So stakeholder engagement, it's a cornerstone of our institutions, of our democracy. And so that must happen. And I would encourage council to continue to be courageous and make the good decisions that we are now seeing. They're giving hope to us as stakeholders. They're giving hope to the community that no one is above the law, no matter how good their PR processes are. So those are the things for me that are absolutely critical. And let me also say, from the minister's side and the ministry side, is to provide the necessary support to Fort Hare now going forward. The finances that are needed. Investigate the people that have also been implicated in financial irregularities that are still there. Don't cover for them. Let them clean out the thing, but let's do that thing properly, not as Buhlungu allegedly said he was going to do it.
Thank you. That was Grant Abbott, the General Secretary of the National Tertiary Education Union, speaking to Biz News. Interesting. Thank you, Grant.